Welcome to this week's Ohio Tech Report. Another exciting week for tech in the state. We're going to dive into it, but first, we want to welcome our guest co-host this week, JD Whitlock from Dayton, the CIO at Dayton Children's Hospital. But JD, welcome. Thanks for being here. And if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you're doing.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I've been watching some of these others, and you've had some great guests, and it's always fascinating to hear all the great stuff that's going on in Ohio. And thanks to all your great work with Ohio X that's facilitating all this. So I am been a CIO at Dayton Childrens for 4 years now. Really great organization to work for. A lot of innovation going on. I've been in healthcare for 25 years, starting with Air Force. I'm retired military, and been working in healthcare IT for about 20 of those years. And it's just a really exciting time to be when you see all the innovation going on now in digital health and other areas. And part of my job, one of the more fun parts of my job is to figure out how we can actually incorporate all this technology into what we're doing at Dayton Children's. And of course, you can't always use everything. And there's sometimes you read about things that lots of money going into things that I sometimes scratch my head and wonder if that's really a commercializable technology in clinical workflows. But that's the challenging part and the fun part of my job.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks also for your service, which, when we talk with Dayton folks, there's a lot of innovation around Wright-Patterson and obviously a great, fantastic military community, both active duty and veterans. So thank you for that. But as you said, we got three great stories. Before we go, we will do a quick shout out to our sponsor, Zendesk. Their work and support helps make these conversations possible. They help give us this platform that we're able to do. And Zendesk was built upon a simple idea, making customer service software that's easy to use and accessible to everyone. Their customer service and engagement products are powerful and flexible and scaled to meet the needs of any business. They serve businesses across hundreds of industries with more than 145,000 paid customer accounts, offering service and support in more than 30 languages. Zendesk is headquartered in San Francisco and they operate worldwide. If you go to zendesk.com, you can learn more, and the best customer experiences are built with Zendesk. And so, with that, we're now going to dive into it. And so, story one is actually something from Ohio X, which we don't really toot our horn and promote our own work all that often. But there's a nice article from Jeremy Noble of Crane's Cleveland Business that we'll link as story number one in the comments about the Ohio Tech Summit, which is coming on Saturday, April 23rd to Cleveland. And it was really cool to get to talk to Jeremy, JD, because we've been working on this for a while. And in the story, as it mentions, this has actually been born out of a partnership with the host, John Carroll University, for a number of semesters. They have this MBA course about disruptive technologies. Their professor that runs that, Scott Allen, who's a great partner and member of Ohio X, we've been working on this. And so it's really cool to see this all come to fruition. And we get to celebrate tech, bring people to Cleveland, and just highlight and promote a lot of the great work that's happening across the state. So we're grateful and thankful for everyone who helped make it possible. But JD, we're excited for it, and hopefully you'll be able to attend. But at the least, it's a great celebration for tech in the state.
Yeah, it looks really exciting. The I looked at the speaker lineup. A lot of obviously super smart folks, and I'm look forward to seeing the full agenda and what everyone's going to talk about in detail.
Yeah, it's fun, and I'd say the biggest thing thus far is we could have. I mean, next year this might turn into multiple days and tracks and all this stuff because perfect. You're in healthcare, and there's a ton of stuff happening in financial services and fintech and manufacturing tech and insure tech, and there's a lot of diversity to tech in the state, and that's been our biggest takeaway from trying to organize this is how we can help tell as many stories as possible. But looking forward to it and really exciting. And so for story number two, we're going to talk about something a little more in your wheelhouse specifically, but this is an article from our friends at Purpose Jobs about 11 fast growing biotech companies in Columbus, Ohio to know, which is a kind of a good rundown of just what's happening in the state, especially in Central Ohio for this specific focus. But also another interesting thing coming up. Another partner is Nationwide Children's Hospital and their Technology Innovation Expo. I know they're a partner of Dayton Children's, but a lot of health tech, biotech excitement. And for someone in your space, JD, That's really cool to see because that's an important part of, of innovation and the economy being built out.
Absolutely, yeah. We're partners with Nationwide. And they do such incredible work there. The amount of research that's going on there, and of course also at Cincinnati Children's, is amazing. And one thing that we try to do at Dayton Children's is being fast followers with how can we take the latest and greatest new medical science and implement it. And there's a concept called bench to bedside. You can have all this great research, but unless it's actually uh, turns into better care for patients. Unfortunately, the data is not very good about how long it takes for new medical science to actually get to the bedside.
Hmm.
And so, National Institutes of Health and elsewhere are trying to put some of the money into making sure that all this new innovation really does get to patients as soon as reasonably possible. And so that Dayton Children's is a good laboratory for that. Of how can we take something that's coming out of on the research side and implement it. We are also a teaching hospital.
Hmm.
We're connected with Boonshoff School of Medicine and have residency program, but we don't have the scale of research that a Nationwide or Cincinnati Children's has. And but two of the top 10 children's hospitals in the U.S. Between Cincinnati and Nationwide. So it's a lot of really exciting stuff going on there.
Yeah, it is. And healthcare. I mean, we're really lucky in our state, which to have the healthcare from Cleveland to Cincinnati and Columbus and Dayton and Akron and all these places in between. There's we're just really incredibly lucky with the
Yeah,
resources, the research, but then also the actual the hospital side themselves.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say one other thing about Nationwide and Dayton Children's, we have this really incredible program called Partners for Kids. Nationwide's been doing it for a long time, like 20 years,
Hmm.
and we just started about 18 months ago. But it's for our Medicaid population. A lot of people may not know this, but your average children's hospital has about 50% of our patients are Medicaid patients,
Hmm.
and so this is a full risk program in value based care where you're trying to incent doctors and hospitals to keep patients healthy and out of the hospital. And so that's great because then allows us to do a whole other host of innovative things
Hmm.
with telehealth. And because now you're getting paid to keep the patients out of the hospital instead of just getting paid when they come to the hospital. So that's the most exciting thing about my job is how we apply technology in new creative ways to keep patients healthy and out of the hospital.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Well, we'll go to story three, and we're gonna just hit on this one real quick because we're coming up on time. But this is around legislation that came out of the state house to help ready Ohio to move away from gasoline-powered vehicles. So this comes from Mark Williams at the Columbus Dispatch. Also linked below so people can check it out. But just real quick from my end, JD, is why I pulled this one is because it mentions some of the movement. We've heard about Voltage Valley and the Youngstown Mahoning Valley area, some of the EV work happening there. Hyperion, which is a company that's coming back to Ohio from California. They've chosen Columbus. So a couple of these pockets that are working in this EV space, and now we're seeing some public sector side work in order to kind of help accelerate it. So it's cool and exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hyperion focuses on the hydrogen. And one of the really important things that doesn't get talked about enough is if we snapped our fingers tomorrow and made every single vehicle EV, there wouldn't be enough electricity to put in it because we don't have the capacity there on the grid. And you got to ask yourself, and if you're an environmentalist, you got to ask yourself, how are we making that electricity, right? Because if we obviously want to build more coal plants. And if you're an environmentalist, you ought to be pro-nuclear, by the way, because that's a zero emission. Um, but with of course with the fuel cell and hydrogen, and you can get the hydrogen directly from the solar, right?
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of new technology with nanotechnology to enhance the efficiency of getting the solar right from electrical
Yeah.
panels. So that's really exciting. Again, it's amazing that this innovation is going on in Ohio.
Yeah, it really is. Well, that's wrapping up our time, JD. But thanks so much for joining. Thanks for what you're doing at Dayton Children's. Also, again, thanks for your service and especially with Dayton being such a rich military hub and center. But this has been the Ohio Tech Report. Another great week for tech in our state. Can't wait to see what's next. But have a great weekend, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks.